Hidden deep in Central Africa lies one of the most beautiful lakes on Earth. But beneath its calm surface lurks a silent killer. Lake Kivu, straddling the border of Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, is filled with explosive methane and suffocating carbon dioxide. Scientists warn that if this lake ever erupts, it could wipe out millions in minutes. Today, we'll uncover the chilling history of Lake Kivu, why it's called a ticking time bomb, and what's being done to prevent catastrophe. Lake Kivu is one of Africa's Great Lakes, nestled between towering cliffs and lush valleys. It stretches over 2,700 square kilometers, making it one of the largest lakes in the region. More than 2 million people live along its shores, relying on it for fishing, transport, and daily life. But unlike other lakes, Kivu is a geological anomaly. Its depths are layered, trapping gases instead of releasing them. Lake Kivu is a giant body of water that is so saturated with carbon dioxide, CO2, and methane at its depths it could explode without warning. Two other lakes in Africa have a similarly deadly chemistry, Lakes Nyos and Manaun in Cameroon, which have both exploded in the past 40 years, killing a total of nearly 1,800 people and thousands of animals. To understand the danger, we must look at history. In 1986, Lake Nyos in Cameroon, another gas-filled lake, suddenly released a massive cloud of carbon dioxide. The invisible gas swept through nearby villages, killing 1,746 people and thousands of animals in minutes. Survivors described people collapsing instantly, as if struck down by an unseen force. Lake Kivu contains thousands of times more gas than Nyos, and millions more people live nearby. The scale of potential disaster is unimaginable. Lake Kivu is one of the African Great Lakes that straddle a tectonic plate boundary called the East African Rift. In the rift, the Somalian tectonic plate is drifting eastward and away from the rest of the continent on the Nubian plate. The Somalian plate is also known as the Somali plate, and the Nubian plate is also sometimes called the African plate. This movement leads to volcanic and seismic activity in the region, which in turn funnels gases from deep inside Earth's crust to the surface and into Lake Kivu's depths. Lake Kivu is much bigger than either Lake Nyos or Lake Manaun, stretching 55 miles, 90 kilometers, long, 30 miles, 50 kilometers, wide and up to 1,560 feet, 475 meters, deep. The lake has an unusual, layered structure, with only the top 200 feet, 60 meters, of water mixing regularly and the lower layers remaining stagnant. Sergei Katsev, a professor of physical and geochemical limnology at the University of Minnesota Duluth, told National Geographic. This strict separation means that CO2 and methane bubbling up from the lakebed become trapped and accumulate in the bottom layer, 850 feet, 260 meters, deep and below, he said. Cities like Goma in the DRC and Gisenyi in Rwanda sit right on the lake's edge. These are vibrant communities, but they are also directly in harm's way. If Lake Kivu were to erupt, the gas cloud could blanket entire cities, suffocating millions before they even realized what was happening. Kivu has a complicated vertical structure. Sergei Katsev, a limnologist at University of Minnesota Duluth, explains. While the top 200 feet or so mix regularly, the rest of the lake remains stratified. Nearly 72 cubic miles of dissolved carbon dioxide and 14 cubic miles of methane, laced with toxic hydrogen sulfide, remain trapped in the bottom of the lake. They sit beneath a main density gradient at 850 feet below the surface. Recognizing the danger, scientists and governments have launched projects to extract methane from the lake. Rwanda, for example, has built facilities that pump methane to generate electricity. This not only reduces the risk of eruption but also provides much-needed energy for the region. However, the scale of extraction is small compared to the vast reserves. Experts warn that much more needs to be done to stabilize the lake. These gases could explode above the surface. When the lake reaches 100% saturation, and it is currently somewhere over 60%, it will erupt spontaneously, says Philip Morkel, an engineer and founder of Hydrogas Energy, which is seeking funding for a project to extract methane from the lake for electricity. It's like a boiling pot of water. It looks quiet until it starts to bubble. The lake could also erupt if its layers are sufficiently disturbed, for instance by an earthquake or a large lava intrusion, Katsev says. Beyond the rift zone directly beneath the lake, there are 2 active volcanoes within 15 miles. Lake Kivu's eruption would be catastrophic. The lake would release the equivalent of 2 to 6 gigatons of carbon into the atmosphere in a day, Morkel says. For reference, current global carbon dioxide emissions are approximately 38 gigatons each year. In total, that erupted gas would hang over the lake in a foggy cloud for days to weeks. Lake Kivu represents both danger and opportunity. If harnessed safely, its methane could power Rwanda and Congo for decades. From my point of view, both methods are feasible. It's a political decision whether you want to take a higher risk to extract more of the methane from the lake. Continues Schmid. The effort is relatively small scale, so it doesn't really affect the lake significantly. He explains that, because each method disrupts the layers of the lake in different ways, the two could disturb each other if both are conducted at the same time. And, Katsev adds, you cannot easily adjust where the pipe goes, because it is placed at a fixed distance from the surface. This means that once capacity is built using a certain method, it may be costly or difficult to change in the future. Morkel worries that people will get used to the current, potentially risky gas extraction plans and develop a false sense of security. It's like a frog in a boiling pot of water. You slowly heat up the pot, and the frog thinks it is a bit hot but might get better. They get used to the idea, and suddenly they're dead. If you found this story eye-opening, share it with others. The more people know about Lake Kivu, the more pressure there is to act. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into the world's hidden dangers.